Welcome back to the last episode of Season 1 of the Street Angel podcast with Angelo Thomas. Okay, so today we have a really awesome special guest and dear friend for I think it's the 13th episode of the Street Angel, and that is Miss Sonja Hedger from Iridium Soul. So, before any further delay, sorry, I'm getting digressed here. I might hand it over to Sonja to say hello.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here.
Yes.
Excited.
And just to quickly introduce Sonja. So Sonja is as I said, beside my friend, she's also the amazing illustrator or artist of our upcoming Pride of Dragons deck, which is being published by Inner Traditions. We thought we might chat today about the dragons and, where the dragons take us. Because it's something that, I don't know, we were speaking about earlier, where the dragons are coming to the forefront, whether it be through various shows we can't mention here due to copyright issues, or even just, dragons have always been cool. But yeah, we thought we might start with the dragons and then see where we go. So with that, Sonja, what's your vibes or thoughts around, dragons and how you came to work with them? And maybe we can even talk about how it brought us together to create this deck.
Yeah, sure. Well, who doesn't love dragons for a start? Their energy is ancient, it's welcoming, it's expanding. And I first was introduced to the dragons by a little dragon called Louis, who appeared to me during a healing session. And then obviously I came to you to talk to you about that and, the relevance of the appearance and how it happened and the circumstances around that. And in further discussion and research, I suppose, for myself, going within, speaking with that energy and connecting to that energy in a more fuller way, created this beautiful connection. And then we were led to this wonderful deck that we've created together.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I suppose the meaning and the feeling of what we did together was tap into that new energy, the newness of this dragon energy, really. I suppose dragons have been, for me, dragons have been around forever. From, maybe not long after the word, first God's word.
Yeah.
But Source's creation, I feel that the dragon energy has been there from the dawn of time, basically. The dawn of creation, helping to create and manifest and bring things into a physical state. That's my connection to the dragons, and I feel that I've expressed that. I tried very hard to express that through the artwork, delivering that energy, the essence of that energy. That's why we opted for the illustrations to be mainly focused on the energy.
Yeah. And there's two things there. I've got to remember there's two things. It's when you talk about the energies, and it's how we keep referring to dragons as energies. I have a lot of people that say to me, "Oh, you're creating a dragon deck, you can't honestly tell me dragons are real." And I said, well, they are. They're energies. And it's so true that they've been around since human creation. It's evident in the sense of when you look across various ancient texts, ancient illustrations, every different culture has their own version of a dragon. That's how it manifests in our minds. And it's so true that what the work we did together to create this dragon deck was about taking that age-old concept of the beautiful dragons, and translating it a more modern concept of working with it energetically. What's gone on with the world. And that's very true that we wanted to step away from a dragon deck that was mythical and magical and had them hovering over castles or hovering over eggs. Or even had the old, St. George the Dragon Slayer being impaled by one of them. To focus squarely just on them.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I am excited for people to see this dragon deck, because it's actually going to be completely different from every other dragon deck in the sense of, you know, it's portraits almost of the dragons, isn't it?
Yeah.
With little faces, their auras.
I think one of the most wonderful experiences of working with the energy was that the dragons presenting themselves in a way that I was able to pull from those myths and stories and folklore and legends of dragons for their energy, because, you know, some dragons came really strong with that fire energy, and to be able to put that into a physical presence, they needed to have some elements of what dragons look like in storybooks or tales of dragons, because that energy is so right for that particular dragon. And yes, they can appear like this. And I think dragons appear differently to everybody. I think they're going to take on a unique shape or form to whoever is tapping into that energy at that time. They're going to present themselves to that person and be able to probably take on the energy of what that person's perception is of a dragon and work with that for them, because that's the easiest way to connect.
Yeah, I agree. And it's very much reflected in the deck, where we do have, I'm still going to go back to that first point of how I connect with dragons to remind me. But it's in the deck, and again, without giving too much away, because we want the anticipation. It's true. That, you know, within the deck, the dragons are all illustrated differently. I feel that you can definitely see there's an Asian dragon, there's a Nordic dragon, there's even, you know, modern day dragons. There's very much those types. And then also, we've bent the rules on what is a dragon, for example, where I feel like some of them take on fox-like qualities. There's a griffin in there, there's a unicorn-like dragon. I mean, I think there was one that looks almost like a phoenix, the one with the gimpy legs that we but it was you know, bless their heart. But it's, to me, what I like about this dragon deck, you know, we better like it because we created it. But it's, you know, at first I was apprehensive and like, is a publisher going to like this? Because the old rule of thumb is to do oracle decks or tarot is that you need to have that really detailed, realistic illustrations, and that's what some publishers in Australia wanted. You know, they wanted that to be the status quo. But we were like, blow that. And I think, if anything, we were actually channeling the dragons in that essence of rebelling against that and finding a publisher out there who wanted to focus on the spiritual nature of these energies, how they can help with self-development, how they can, you know, work towards a broader ascension part, and not get distracted with what's popular myth and culture out there, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I feel the less detail gives the reader a bigger, broader connection or a broader foundation to connect with the energy, because without making it too detailed, like allow that energy just to come through and allow each individual to put all those extra bits of detail in themselves when the energy comes through for them.
And I like the less detail, because I do know that when people read tarot, for example, the Rider-Waite tarot is very detailed in the sense of you don't need to know or remember every single card. Because people heavily rely on, you know, the Four of Wands, you got this person looking out, you got the Three of Cups, you got all this other stuff. Whereas that wasn't about it for us. It's literally, there's the dragon. It's what does it invoke within you? What's the feelings you get? Connect with the energy. It's a portal into the dragon energies. And then from there, sure, read the message, see what's coming through, but don't be dictated that the Three of Swords means X or the Ten of Wands means this. Just because this dragon is giving you this message, what else are they saying? You know, the elements, the angel they're associated with. It's that deeper. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think it's a purer, more simple energy that we're trying to give the experience of. The truth is always pure and simple anyway. And I feel that we captured that essence of truth to the dragon with that simplicity.
Yeah. And I get that's a perfect segue into discuss about how I've been working with the dragons and why, like, it's true. So they're simple, they're more grounded, they're more relatable. Because for me, that's grown up connected to the angelic realms, you know, seeing angels. I always had an obsession with dragons. I even had like a dragon incense burner where smoke come out of its nose, but then it had like little ventilation in its bum, so I always looked like it's farting too. But I was obsessed with them. But as I grew and started to learn more about the angelic realms, it's like the angels are up there. We're down here on Earth. Dragons sit in between there, and they are almost like the perfect intermediary ambassador to bring down the angelic knowledge, the celestial wisdom in a more grounded way that we can understand. Like, you know, angels aren't made up of elements, whereas you do have a fire dragon, an earth dragon, an air dragon, you know, and we're made up of elements. So it feels like they're perfect into those middle people almost. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Knowledge. And that's why I found it really, it's a second nature to me to channel dragons, because I can channel angels.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why with your work on your previous deck with the Elementools, which we're plugging, available for purchase, it's that you were working with those beautiful elements, which made working with the dragons a natural progression.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great transition, and we were just discussing that earlier, actually, that tapping into the spaces where the energy is coming from. For me, transitioning from a really heavy heart space and emotional space while producing the Elementools deck to a much higher elevated connection for the dragons. And I found that wonderful to work with. And expanding in and of itself, I learned a lot. I developed and I grew myself, and my abilities to really put onto paper that energy that I was feeling was a whole new experience in that sense, and one that I've learned and grown through. And you know, and future projects for us working with what's going on in our own lives now, that energy again has shifted as time has shifted, where energy's, you know, there's a constant flow to it. So we're always having to expand ourselves to work with those new energies that are coming through.
Yeah. It's when you were talking, I was visualizing then about how the beginnings of the dragon images you were painting.
Yes.
How, you know, they're stunning nonetheless, but as you progressed through, and I think, you know, we started in late 2020, finished in October 21. It's about that year process. They took on a whole different nature.
Absolutely.
They became more ethereal, more experimental. I mean, there was even one, I remember you gave me one image, I'm like, that's not a dragon.
Yes. And we're all like, well, where did that one just pop in from?
Yeah, it was like an evolution of you channeling and drawing from these energies that mirrored my channeling, where I was initially, you know, previous to writing this manuscript, I would just give the message.
Yes.
But over time, it was something you and I worked together of, here's the message. Okay, but what?
Yeah, exactly. But why? What does it mean? Yeah.
So as you were channeling differently, I was too. So I was writing more fulsome messages by saying, okay, well, here's this dragon's message. This is what they look like. And this is what their appearance means for you today. And then how to apply that to your life. It's kind of like we both went through, or it is actually, not kind of, we both went through this growth of writing and creating and painting that I guarantee our next projects will actually, people will see it. How it
yeah, hopefully. Yeah. And it's a beautiful transition, is it not? Because you go from, at the beginning, we were sort of fumbling around with that new energy. For me personally, fumbling around with that new energy. How do I, what direction is this going to go in for me? And we've used paintings for the deck, some from the very first sketches I did that were barely even, I had just started to use the work with the images and the energy, and then to right down to the end in going back and adding a dragon because somebody came through with such strong energy that it was like, no, this one, we've got to put you in. You've got to go into the deck.
Oh, yeah.
Even those images were so much more bolder and stronger and clearer as opposed to those light ethereal ones that were coming through in the beginning there. So you're right, it was just, we used so many different images from different parts of that journey, and I love that. I hope that comes through really strong with the images and the energy attached to them.
I agree. And that reminds me like of 2 points there. It's kind of like, if you are listening to this and you want to connect with dragon energy, this most simplest of just saying to them, put your intent out there, you know, pick up something that reminds you of a dragon and just say, hey guys, come in. And they will come in, because that's what happened. We were getting bombarded. Like at one point it was like a football draft, like your cut, you're in, your cut, you're in.
It was. There were moments there where that loud, chaotic, because there was like, I've got a message. This is there was almost like a scrambling for the knowledge to be out there, which was brilliant, because we had no struggle in the flow for information for content. It just came.
I think there was one point too, and then the second point is that if anyone's out there thinking about, you know, creating an oracle deck, it's you know, don't worry if you have your vision completely 100% from the outset, you know, all drafted up. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Because I mean, look, as long as you have the basic objective, you know, what's your deck, what's it going to do, and then you know, that's cool. Get your cement there. Obviously, dragon, self-development, ascension. But understand it's an organic process, because the one thing that keeps falling in my mind of what was hilarious was that back last year when I came to visit you in Darwin, and we spent those few days together, and we were like lining up dragons to messages and, you know, having some wine, listening to some music and getting lost in the process. I remember when we were exhausted, I went to bed and I was scrolling through my phone, and I came across an old picture you put up like back in 2018 or 2019 when I did that reading for you of Louis. And I took a screenshot. I said, I want him in the deck. And it's kind of like, you know, I think I even stole one image from another of your draft decks.
You did.
That's how it works. Like, just because you think you've got your 44 cards or your 44 dragons, like I actually cut one of the dragons you painted and said, no, I want this one.
Yeah.
And it's funny though, because both of our dragon guides, mine's Rian, the old Nordic dragon, and your Louis one, are both in the deck. And it just felt natural, like he had to be there. And you probably were thinking, oh my God, go to sleep. We've been together for like 20 hours. And I was sending you screenshots.
Tune out.
But it's, while Oracle decks come off very polished and very professional, and, you know, publishers do love that. And that's one thing to give guidance to people. You know, I always like to give guidance that if you are going to create a deck, make sure it's coherent. The writing is grammatically correct, it's concise, it has a theme, your art is as well, but don't stress too much if it takes a bit longer than you expect and it goes all over the shop.
Because
and it's true, like if we had handed in a manuscript that when I first wrote it and the paintings when we first did it, I think that was back in May last year, we're like, we can totally submit it, and then over time it took a whole new meaning, and then it was about another 6 months later it was ready.
That's right. And I think just the journey of going over when we would sit and give it our full attention, there was always new messages coming through, and it's hard to not stop and say, hey, can we include this, because it's real and it's what's coming through. And sometimes we needed to expand the messages, and sometimes we needed to diminish them. We needed to pull them back in and make them more concise, which I feel we did. And getting back to your point, if you are out there creating your own oracle deck, stick with it and allow the flow, because things change and you might be shifting and pulling things out and putting things together. But at some point, you know when the right time to, when you're finished, you do, don't you? Get a sense of, no, we're done. We're totally done. Yeah. And because it went quiet too, the energy, all those dragons that were rallying for some attention, just seemed to fade into the background. And okay, we're happy with that message. And it was it was a wonderful process. And I encourage anybody who's interested to get into it, do it, commit to it, and follow it through. It does take time, but just do it, and don't be afraid to put that project in. It doesn't have to be perfect.
No, agreed. Because one thing is, you're right, when it clicks and you know it's done, it's done. Don't spend 3, 4, 5 years mulling over it. It's and it's so true. Once I stopped, I think it was in the late October, I stopped. The dragons went quiet. I went to the Gold Coast, had a holiday, and then we submitted it. The dragons didn't come back until the publishers came back, and I was like, "Oh, hello."
I know. They're back. So wonderful,
But it's so true, and you're right. Don't be afraid to put it in. We were incredibly lucky that we got accepted. But don't be afraid of rejection too. Like, I know many people that have written books and they've become quite successful, and people say, "What's your secret to your overnight success?" And they're like, "Well, you didn't see the 10 years of rejection letters."
True.
And, and also, again, be flexible and be redefine. Actually, it's a message in our new deck we're writing that I wrote yesterday. Is keep redefining what success looks like to you. So when we first started the Dragon deck, we had a very clear idea of its structure to follow a very different structure. We had a very clear idea of which publisher and the image, that over time we kind of went nut to the structure, nut to the publisher. And it's taken on a complete different thing. I don't want to talk too much about, because I want it to be a surprise what the structure of the deck is. But don't be too hung up on, I've always wanted to do a fairy deck, and it's always going to be focused on British folklore or something like that. If it morphs into taking on something more like galactic fairies across, something like that, go with it.
Ooh, yeah, for sure. Go with that.
P.S. I'm trademarking that. So, now, I'm not too sure how long we've got going, but I just want to bring it back to the grounded messages of dragons. It's that I keep getting told, I've got one in the back of my space here. It's the most blue, it's beautiful, big and blue. It's actually in the deck. It's name's Loire. You remember Loire? Law.
Yes,
Law.
One of my favorites.
Yep. She's just coming here and she's nudging me forward. And the message I just keep getting from her is that, by all means, have fun with the mystical dragons. Have fun watching those new shows. Have fun, creating. Have fun getting lost in the magic. But don't forget that they really are the key to celestial wisdom. That inspiration into, the nudging energy that she's doing behind me. It's like this big T-Rex is behind me nudging me. and she's saying, like, just stop stressing about, people won't believe me because it's magical and mystical, all that. No, if you're really interested in dragons and you don't know why, and you're listening to this, then, get on the internet, get on the, just say get on the blower. Don't give me a call. But, get out there and look at things like, there's so much written at the moment around dragons having that connection to Sirius, galactics.
Yeah.
Look at the angels' connections. But she's just saying this message of push your knowledge and your boundaries of what dragons are and how they're connected to the rest of the broader celestial wisdom. And you never know where you might get taken. I mean, you might actually go and start doing a sacred geometry deck of your own, because she's pushed you in that direction. So I feel dragon energy is very much around removing barriers and obstacles to your higher purpose and just going with their flow. That fiery, watery energy.
Yeah. Nice. Yep. She's lovely.
I love her. Cool. So, on another point too, I still want to talk about, I mentioned earlier that Sonja does have the Elementools. I was going to hold it up, but they're listening to it, but but it's like your Elementools deck. Well, just to finish off talking about the product deck, you self-published your Elementools deck.
Yes, I did.
And we're going through a traditional publisher with this deck. Would you say to people that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which way you go, just go with what feels right.
Absolutely. That would be probably the top of my list of advice. Go with what feels right. And I feel that when you begin, if you're setting out to do an oracle deck, I feel that it's important to just listen to the heart, go with the flow of that and where it leads you, because it's an intuitive process, and that is it's self-based. So it's your relationship with spirit, your personal relationship with spirit that matters, and getting the message out is a state of flow. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, I feel that both. Well, I mean, our deck is not published yet. You know, it's being published, absolutely, and it's on its way. So I'm yet to experience that, but self-publishing obviously requires a lot more time and effort, and that you have to be personally invested in the actual sale of that deck, which is a big thing to take on. And I feel that it really is an individual process. But if you've got a message and you want that message to be out there and you feel that you want to be heard, then I say go for it. And it doesn't matter how it's brought into the world, as long as it's brought into the world, as long as your message comes to some form of physical manifestation to share. Yep. Because that's what this is about. We are sharing that creative energy. We are sharing it, and the energy that comes with it is hopefully bringing us together in a more co-creative way.
Yeah, I agree. That's what people often say to me when they do spiritual development work is, I'm getting these messages, how do I put them out there? And it's sometimes as simple as, you know, writing a blog. You can even do, you know, a 30-second Instagram reel. Who cares?
Exactly.
Just get it out there and think about the rest later. Because I was listening to something yesterday. I don't know if it was a vision or if it was a message from spirit. But this idea came to me that we all have these grand big visions. You know, we all want to be these big pumbas, big kahunas. Mm-hmm. And the problem is we get too distracted in that, waiting for that to happen, not realizing that the future is going to come to us regardless of what we do. So just focus on the here and now and get what you can done. And that's it. If you want to get your deck out quickly, go online, get it published, you know, get 100 copies sent to you, get in a van and get out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it, like for me, it was about getting the message out there and having my creative space to share that creative space with others. And hopefully one person is all I needed to pick up that deck and say, wow, this really helped me. Thank you. You know, that to me was like, there's got to be people out there who can benefit from this like I have. I thank Spirit, and I'm forever grateful for the relationship I have and the authenticness of creating your own space and energy of messages which has come from your personal connection with Spirit. That's the information that we want to be sharing. It's healthy, it's positive, it's expanding, and everybody has something valid and valuable to say. So no matter what your message, it's important that you share it and get it out there, because there's no right or no wrong. There is no right or wrong with Spirit. And each and everybody's unique relationship with Spirit is their own journey and their own process. And there's never a right or wrong to that. So just share people.
Exactly. And it doesn't always have to be, it doesn't always have to be trumpets from the sky, big angelic messages, profound, deep, transformational, you know, channelings that come through. It can just be simple, everyday knowledge and wisdom that Spirit can give you that, like you said, one person.
Yeah, 100%. One person. Yeah. And that's enough. That's enough, you know. Yeah.
So I think because we're coming up to our time, I thought I was going to pull a quick card for everyone that's listening from your deck.
Yes.
And then, I'll read out what it is and then we'll give our reflections. And then just say if anyone is interested in this deck that, you know, I'll put your social media details on the post, but to give them a go. So let's go. All right. I think this is one of the first podcasts I've actively channeled in there, but that's all right.
Ooh.
All right. this is 2 cards came out, but I'm only going with 1 because they're both the same spirit. All right.
Oh,
Is
nice.
Jabiru. I love this
Jabiru.
one. So for people out there, it's the Jabiru, and his element is ether, isn't it? Yep. The quick message: Great Spirit Keeper, Master of Birth, Death, and Rebirth. Showing the creation of divine process, liberation from boundaries. Endless is our journey throughout eternity. Transition to a higher place. Wears an unexpected face. This fits bloody perfectly with what we're
doing. Doesn't it?
And sorry, Dijon was in the background having a coughing fit if you heard that. But I love this one. So what do you feel like that pretty much sums up what we've been talking about?
Yes, absolutely. Don't judge where messages come from. Don't judge any of your don't judge your connection to spirit. Everybody's connection is unique and individual. And when we're dealing with the ether, we're dealing with a higher energy. We're pulling in, we're getting channeling messages from a higher space. You know, just go with those flows. And I really do think that at the moment, messages are going to be coming from unexpected places. Absolutely. And don't maybe deny that message because it hasn't come to you in a what's the word, more traditional sense. Okay, yeah, we're going to get messages with the energy that it's about. Currently, we are getting messages from all types of energies, and be open to those messages and trust and go with the flow, and your gut will always guide you. So
absolutely. And I'm looking at what your because what's really great about Sonja is she has a little card that matches the elements, and the words you have here, or the energies, is communication, collective, visionary. There was another one about ethereal, angelic. Like it's touching on everything that we've been talking about today around expanding. So yes,
and we are going through some transitions at the moment, people. There's a lot of energy out there, transitional energy. So allow it to come in and expand. Don't hold back. Go with the flow. Allow yourself to move in this energy.
Absolutely. And for anyone interested, the second card that popped out at the same time was the Ether King.
Oh wow! Okay, so brilliant.
Which
really pulling on some angelic, higher energies at that point in time, and bringing in the that joining of that higher energy. And well, I'm working with that currently, so it's bringing everything down into that heart space.
Yeah,
it's a great space to be working from at the moment.
Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect way to end it today, is about the heart space. Is that, if you want to work with dragons, approach them from your heart space. And by that, it's like simply put your hand on your heart to remind yourself where it is. And just say to them, hey guys, I need some guidance. Or what's the one thing you want to tell me today? And if you speak from that heart space, they'll answer.
They sure will.
Yeah.
Like that. It's lightning. And don't doubt it. Trust the thing that first comes into your mind, because that's what it is.
Absolutely.
And go with that flow. Yeah.
Awesome. So we will end it there. So so thank you everyone for listening to
thank you very much.
Street Angel podcast with Sonja by Iridium Soul. Be sure to follow Sonja on Facebook and Instagram. I will put the links in the caption. But what is your Instagram handle? It's at Iridium Soul. And mine is at @Angelo_Thomas. Also be sure to subscribe to this podcast to also find out when the actual deck will be published. Like Sonja said, we're currently going through that editorial process, the crossing the T's, dotting the I's, saying you can't say that, you can say that. And thank you for joining us. And if you do have any questions around connecting with the dragons, get in contact with us. Always here. So thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye, peeps.